During the new prologue for Baldurs Gate 3, you can easily miss one of the best swords obtainable in Act 1. Today I'll be showing you how to get that sword and also how to get enough experience to already be level 2 at the end of the prologue. Now we're playing the full release version of the game and the prologue has changed, so do pay close attention. This video is actually part of a walkthrough series where I go over every quest, location, entire game and show you all the secret weapons and armor and possible outcomes of your decisions. I'll be doing this for every quest in the game, so make sure you subscribe if you're interested in that. After waking up though, you'll find a Mindflayer that you can loot in the first room. And then directly to the left, you'll find a treasure chest that you can also loot. And then if you go south and up this ramp towards the second level, you will find another treasure chest. Just walk around the outside until you get to it. And if you actually hold down the Alt key, the game will show you everything that you can loot in the area, apart from some things that are secret and require a perception check for you to actually discover. But definitely get used to using the Alt key because you'll find a lot of secrets using it. After we've looted the chest, we can use jump to get back down to the first floor, and if you're feeling dangerous, you can then interact with the nursery pool, which is filled with larvae in the center of the room. If you do decide to touch it, you'll take some damage as it explodes. So maybe don't do that. But don't worry, you can use the restoration pod to refill your health. Next, if we proceed onwards to the second room, we'll find some various loot on the tables and a few bodies that we can get some gold from. But if we take the lift in the center of the room to the upper section, you'll find a person whose brain has been replaced with an intellect devourer. If you succeed the Arcana check and attempt to free the brain, you'll be rewarded with a temporary companion. Now it doesn't really matter if you fail this or not, but it does make our life a lot easier if you pass. Now some people like to save the game before they make these checks and then reload the save if they fail. Up to you whether you want to do that or not. For your first playthrough though, try not to get too hung up on those things. Now we're going to head outside, but if you click the dip icon in your action bar, you can dip your weapon into fire and then it will do fire damage. Next we're going to come outside where you'll meet Lea'zel, who is waiting for you in the most epic I've ever seen in any Dungeons & Dragons game. Who does she think she is? She'll react to you differently depending on your race, and we can now help her take on some imps in the next room. You can actually use the jump action to reach characters you would normally be out of movement range from. Once the imps are dead, you can loot them for their gold and crossbows, then equip them in your range slot. I recommend replacing your dagger with a short sword or scimitar for more damage. But make sure you don't dual wield weapons without the feat, which you'll unlock later, because it will actually reduce your chance to hit with them. So next we're going to climb up to the next level of the ship. And this next room has some unconscious cultists sitting in chairs. And the next origin companion called Shadowheart, and we'll find her locked in a pod asking for us to help. Now if you choose not to help her, don't worry, you can get her as a companion later on, but she won't like you as much. Interestingly, if you're playing a warlock or sorcerer class, you can free her by passing an arcana check on the machine to her right. Alternatively, barbarians can free her by passing a strength check on the pod itself. If you're neither of those classes, just head to the south where you'll find a table and some loot, and also our mind in a jar, which you can take. It may have a purpose later. You'll also find a locked elaborate rectory, which can be lockpicked, or you can find the key next door in a moment. So head to the next room to the north, where you'll find a Thrall who has the key lying dead at the entrance. There's another Mindflayer pod in the center of this room which contains a woman who is unresponsive. Now if you go past her to the button at the back which reads perfect, pushing this will actually turn the woman into a Mindflayer. I mean, why not? Push away. Now towards the back of the room you'll find a dead Thrall who has the Eldritch rune required to open Shadowhearts pod. There's also a treasure chest to loot here, and the slave mind in a jar. Pick it up along with everything else. Now we're going to head back and unlock that chest with the key we just found, and then we can come over to the control panel next to Shadowhearts pod to use the Eldritch rune to free her from her pod. Now if you roll a natural 1 on this skill check, it is possible to fail and she'll be trapped in there until we free her later. but assuming you don't roll a 1 and free her, she'll now join our party immediately, which makes this next part a lot easier. As for the large control panel in the center of the room, an Arcana check will translate what these buttons actually do. From the left to the right, it says Unleash, which zaps the knocked out cultists' bodies. The second button says Aggression, which makes them attack you, and then you can get experience from them. And the last one says Annihilate, which kills them and allows you to loot them. I suggest the middle button and then just killing them for some free experience. Now with all our companions, we can head to the helm of the Nautiloid. Make sure you heal yourself in this next room, and if you press tab, you can actually click the top button which says Spellbooks. Here you can swap Shadowheart spells to Healing Word, Shield of Faith, and Bless and Command. Now we've changed her spells, we can go inside the next room and you'll see a Mindflayer fighting Commander Zhalk, a powerful Cambion wielding a flaming greatsword. All of the cutscenes will tell you to completely ignore him, but it's actually possible to kill him and obtain his unique weapon, along with enough experience to reach level 2. So let's do that instead. We'll need to be fast here, so start out by dispatching the lesser imps, and currently the Mindflayer will treat us as a friend because he still thinks we're under his control. On Shadowheart, cast Bless on your teammates and yourself, and then run over and use Shield of Faith on the Mindflayer. If he dies, Commander Zhalk will instantly kill you, so we need to keep him alive. Then we're going to take out the lesser enemies while heading over to Commander Zhalk as fast as possible. We have a time limit on killing him fast enough. It's very possible to do though, so don't worry. Also, try and loot those Mindflayers on the floor because they'll have gems worth a lot of gold. And now we're going to go ham on him. If you're a cleric or warlock, you can use the command ability to command him to drop his unique weapon, and then you can just go ahead and pick it up, which means he'll just be fighting with his fists. But this really isn't necessary. Instead, just position everyone around him and start slapping away. Focus all your efforts on killing him. We don't have long before 2 more Cambion soldiers will show up and aid him in battle. Once he's dead, you can grab his unique Everburn Blade, which I'll talk more about in a moment. Now after he is dead, the Mindflayer will turn on you. He will however be very low health, and since he's turned on you, he'll now reward experience for dying. So go ahead and kill him and you'll have enough experience to reach level 2. Next though, we're going to need to escape by running to the control panel, which activates a cutscene of us escaping the Nautiloid. Don't worry if anyone's dead, you can just use the dash ability and then click on your character to double your movement speed. You can even ignore all the enemies that come into the room after the cutscene. All you need to do is reach the control panel to escape immediately. Obviously, if you want to though, you can kill those enemies for experience. It is however no longer possible to kill the Cambions in the time limit, so I would just suggest fleeing. So now we're escaping the Nautiloid and we're going to crash land onto a beach. We are now in Act 1 of the main story. Now Baldurs Gate 3 is very open-ended and it's impossible to experience everything in one playthrough. If you want more guidance from here, I'd suggest watching my other video on where to find all 6 origin companions, and also my tips and tricks on how to build the character classes early on. Or you can check out my other guides linked below that go over the locations, all the secret collectibles, and the main quests and side quests, and all the different outcomes and choices you can make in each one of them. Now the sword Everburn, which we just picked up, is a 2-handed greatsword, which is an uncommon item, which does 2d6 damage plus 1d4 fire damage. It's also just eternally burning, which is awesome. Drop a like on the video if you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next one.